My name is Lynelle Miliate, and I am with the California Browncoats, and I'm here with Hanna, who is also with the California Browncoats. And today we're going to be talking to some very lovely charity fan-run charity group people associated with or who are currently in fan-run charity groups, and we're going to be talking to them about their groups and some insights in how to run your own group and why that's important in fan culture right now. And so if we could have a very brief introduction of all of the members, why don't we start with James?
Hello, my name is James Riley, and I was one of the original founders of the California Browncoats, of which Lynelle and Hanna are now the current runners of.
Can you give us a year for that?
We started it in 2007, but we did some events as early as 2005 as the California Browncoats.
That's awesome. Very cool. Marsia, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your group?
Oh, Marsia Powers, and we are Fandom Charities, Inc. We started in 2006 as Whedonopolis, our news site, which still exists. We did an event and learned you got to be a charity. So that's when Fandom Charities kicked in. And that and WhedonCon and all kinds of fun stuff we do. And that's it.
Awesome. How about Victoria?
I run Castiel's Angels. We are a fan group based in the supernatural fandom. So our group, we help the actors with their personal charities that they support. And we've been running the Angels since, I believe, 2013 was when we started.
And Dean, did you want to introduce yourself as well?
I'm Dean. I am the West Coast representative for Castiel's Angels.
I'm Dr. Susie HoneyBee Searight, and I am founder and CEO of Browncoat Auxiliary Depression and Anxiety Support System, or AKA BANAS. We are a mental health awareness charity reaching out to the fandom communities.
So we are talking today about our groups and their value in the fandom. So why don't we start off with why are charity fan groups important instead of, say, like a fan group? Instead of a fan club, why do a charity fan group?
Well, as Marcia said, you kind of have to be a legal entity in order to get some things done and to do things without getting into trouble. So that's the main reason to do it. That doesn't involve anything around the show itself. I feel like as far as Browncoats, it kind of embodied the family feel of the show, and it just kind of fit with what we were doing. It's like you go out and do good things. You be big damn heroes. So it fit with the show, but the being a charity, an actual legal charity, allows you to do a lot more things for a lot more people legally.
I started in 2002 with a Buffy meetup group. I started it because I wanted to meet people in real life. From 4 people meeting, it grew and grew and grew. And I was a member of the SoCal Browncoats, and I saw what they did. And we did the same thing. We did a Once More with Feeling and Smile Time sing-along to raise money for Elizabeth Glaser Pediatric AIDS. We're a bunch of friends. We're doing it. And then the IRS goes dead. No, 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 no. You should not be doing this as a bunch of fans. And the movie theater that we did the screening wanted to know whose social security number was going to go to the IRS. And like James said, you have to decide, are you a bunch of people hanging out, having a good time, which the meetup still exists, or do you want to do good in this world? Fandom Charities has a line. While you guys have damn good heroes, we have, if nothing we do matters, then all that matters is what we do. And that's what you have to make a decision. Are you going to really bring good into the world, or do you just want to hang out and have a good time? And you can still have a good time with the charity, but you have to really do all the things that are required, or the government gets really pissed at it.
Our saying was a quote from Misha Collins: "The first step in changing anything is getting people to care." And we also go by, making a difference in the world kind of a slogan. We kind of started by accident. I was at a convention just being a fan, and Misha Collins comes through the door and we collide and I knock the man over. Somehow that conversation led to charity, and I asked, can I help with his charity, Random Acts? And he was like, well, yes, you could, but, try making your own thing and kind of going with it. Fast forward 1.5 to 2 years later, he didn't think I'd actually do it. And we raised $2,000 in the first year, which wasn't, huge or anything, but it was a starting point to kind of where we are now. And I kind of look back on that, and now we've just helped so many people. And it was kind of because of an accident, so it's kind of funny, but yeah, it's really cool.
As James said, a big damn hero. I'm a brown coat. That's in my blood. And I believe I was put on this earth to do something bigger than just play at conventions. And don't get me wrong, I love to play at conventions. I cosplay. We have a convention room full of all kinds of wonderful things. But, we were going to do that because that's how, as Marcia said, that's how you get to be able to play nice with the IRS. And then because of a tragedy that happened in my life recently this last year, several of us went through the death of a friend from suicide. And we realized that as fans, as geeks, as nerds, we don't reach out when we have mental illness because we've been taught from young age that we're different. We're not like the rest of the world. And something needed to change. So we decided that we collectively as a group are worthy. We are valued, we are important, we are loved. And if our community will not reach out for the help, then we will bring help to them.
I think that's a really great point that you made, and really, really great that you started this because, we help with all of our different charities. We help so many different people, for so many different reasons. I know like the charity that the California Browncoats are raising money for right now is the Alzheimer's Association. So but we don't, not that we don't, but there isn't that, help for our groups, our inner group of the geeks, nerds, love of fandoms.
One of the things that really touched me about what Susie said is because we don't really stick with one group. We do so many wonderful charities, but we switch almost every convention, and it's like everything that we've done so far I've really believed in and I'm emotionally attached to, but like to have something that you believe in as much as Badass does, like to have that one thing that is your driving thing is really beautiful. And I think that is
and the other part is, I want to stress Browncoat Way Station, the proceeds for that are not going to Badass. We may be the foundation that is running the convention, but the proceeds are going to the Wounded Warrior Project and Katarina's Club. Katarina's Club feeds homeless children every day of the week in Riverside, Orange County, and Los Angeles County every single day. It's 250,000 homeless children are fed a meal every single day.
Fandom Charities first started, and I jokingly call us the United Way of geekdom. Like the California Browncoats, every year we picked a different charity, but it started out with the Dr. Horrible screenings. And so it was always something to do with helping the homeless or helping families and local. It has to be an organization that actually needs the money. This year, in fact, actually this year, even though WhedonCon, which has become our big fundraiser, has to go virtual this year in October, but we're now going to be HalloWhedonCon, which really made Chris happy. But we're going to move everything over also to 2021. So this year and next year, we're raising money for the Los Angeles LGBT Center that's been in Hollywood since 1969. And they do amazing stuff, especially for teenagers, and they're just wonderful org. But what we've also been doing every single year for, I believe, the past 4 years now, Ron Glass was very involved with the Al Wooten Youth Center down in South Los Angeles. And like Susie has a reason for, well, my mom sent me to a place like that when I was growing up in New York. And the one year she didn't send me, that summer we moved to California because I did interesting things in high school. But the focus of what the Wooten Youth Center does is 3rd to 12th grade, after school programs, summer programs. Even now, everything they're doing is virtual, but they're still doing. And kids need that. You got to keep them busy or they get into trouble. And that's what that organization is about. And every year we're still running our events, and a portion goes to them. And that's why we do it. Now, Fandom Charities, the name came up because we thought one of our founders, Kelly Moore, heavy into supernatural. And we thought after we figured out how to do the Whedonverse, then we would go to the supernatural and say to them, okay, we figured out how to actually put on 1-night events and 2-night events, and here, let us help you. But by then, they had already run with it. And all these groups were doing little things. And so we said, okay, then I guess we're still Fandom Charities, but we're a fandom. But we're still open to helping other fandoms know how to put on an event. And so that's a secondary for us. But the first is, you know, we're not raising money for us. We're raising money for other needy charities, and that's what's important.
The charity that we're helping right now is My Hope Chest. It's a charity that Ruth Connell supports. She plays Rowena in Supernatural, but My Hope Chest is a very small charity. They need all the help they can get. They help with breast cancer reconstruction surgery. And with My Hope Chest, it's ran by an amazing woman named Alyssa. Right now, that's the one that we're trying to focus on. But we, you mentioned Alzheimer's. David Hayden Jones supports that charity, so we have done some work for them as well. So we kind of bounce around in between charities, but we help who we can, but who needs it the most, you know, every few months.
And I would like to add, like, also SPN, very big on the mental health. We actually have an SPN support network that is partnered with Random Acts and I'm Alive, which was a campaign that was run with Misha and Jensen Ackles called You're Not Alone, and partnering with Jared Padalecki on Always Keep Fighting. Actually, there is a fandom crisis support network that is in place. And I'm working on another project that is helping run to get scholarships for volunteers, because more people who are in training means more people who can get help.
And mental health is very important in the supernatural fandom. There's so many people that struggle with that. You know, there's so many that struggle with, you know, like there's suicide and just mental health in general. So it's very important that there are volunteers that are trained in that, so they can help, you know, people in need, not just in supernatural fandom, but just in general.
In all fandoms, absolutely. Yeah, our entire board of directors, when we discussed this, the first thing we all did was, those of us who weren't already, we went through extensive training to become first responders.
All doing really amazing work, and it is very exciting to hear about all of the good things that all of your groups are doing. So my next question is, what is the role of fan-run charities in a fandom, and how do they help keep the fandom energized?
Well, for one, it gives the fans a focal point, something to do more than just let me watch the show again for the 15th time on TV in my living room when no one else is around. It gives them somewhere to go. It gives them something to do, and it helps just energize everyone that this is something we love, and let's let everyone see that love by what we do. And so that's I mean, for me, it was, I never did anything until I went to a convention, and the first thing I saw when I met some Browncoats was they were at a table, just like 4 of them sitting at a table in the corner of WonderCon, raising money for the Red Cross, because there had just been the hurricane or whatever it was in Asia. And so that was my first experience with it. So I basically came into it with, this is what you do as a fan when you're going out into the world. You know, you don't sit there and try and convince everyone to watch your show. You just go do something good. And so that's just what I did and what I've been doing since with fandom stuff. It's, you know, we went and we formed the California Browncoats because legally we had to, but also we wanted to keep doing things. You know, we want to keep going to Comic-Con and WonderCon and raising money for charities and doing cool things that, you know, get things out into the world for people to see.
And just to piggyback on this question, remember to all the viewers out there that Firefly had 1 season, 13 episodes, 1 movie, Serenity, back in 2000. Well, the TV show was in 2003, 2004?
2002, 2003, and then the movie was 2005.
Yeah. So, and it's now 2020, and we're still trying to keep the Browncoats Firefly alive.
We have done, not to compare ourselves to the Supernatural fan group, but I do feel like you guys had 15 seasons. We have done a lot with very, very little. So not to compare, but you guys got 15 seasons to pull awesome stuff from. We have high expectations for you.
It's like, you know, my fear is whenever the show ends, which is in this year, you know, I was always worried, like, I hope that what we're doing and the good that we're doing doesn't fade away just because the fandom kind of fades away. But I feel like there's always going to be that family connection. It's SPN family, you know, everyone tries to just do good already. So whenever we go out, we try to, you know, if we see a fan and they're hungry, you know, like at a con and they just forget to eat, we try to bring granola bars, we bring bottles of water. You know, there's other events that take place around the world for, like, you know, homeless and making sandwiches and things like that. So it's all about, you know, just helping people in general. And as, you know, Castiel's Angels, it's more about being an angel to people that really need you. So we're helping as many people as we can. So it's, when it comes to the fandom, we try to be there for the fandom, but also other people as well. So, yeah.
Awesome.
I can say for a lot of the Whedonverse, especially Buffy and Angel, I'm always blown away at how many new young fans. A few years ago at San Diego, there was a huge party put on by Fox Home Entertainment, and there were over 300 people who showed up, of which 80% were in their 20s, and they're heavy into it. The fandom, it resonates for people, not just young people, but in the LGBTQ community. How a lot of people I've known have said that the series actually helped them when they had family problems, and it gave them an idea. I mean, when we started our fandom back in back in 97, 98, those were the days. You young people have no idea what it was to be on a forum. And after a certain amount of time, it would hang up on you. We had people in my group that were from England and Australia, and it took them 6 months to actually get the shows. And there was no such thing as emoticons and shortcuts. You had a hard code and all this stuff, but it was amazing how people gravitated together. And now there's more people, and it's not waiting until next week or next year to watch an episode. And so more people are getting in because they're watching the DVDs and such, and they want to be involved. They want to find people that they can be together with. I mean, it's something I'll say, there's like our line from Angel. Well, there's an episode called Blood Money. And the idea is that one thing that Fandom Charities was concerned about is that most charity events that are non-fandom, the vast majority of the money goes to put on the event. And then of that, what's left over goes to pay the people who run it for putting it on, because it's really for profit, even though it's not supposed to be for charity. And the charity only gets a few dollars out of it. And we wanted to be sure that even when money is tight, even when there are expenses, that the charities got the money, that it wasn't kept or given to someone else. And that was an important thing about fan charities or fan-run groups that are helping other charities, is that they're not looking. I mean, we're all 100% volunteer. The United Way, Red Cross, all these other organizations, their people all get a salary. That's what they do, and that's how they make their money. And here we are, and our volunteers, and we're not taking a nickel for this. Most of our volunteers and most of the people running these events and these organizations are actually paying out of their pocket for things. And normally, a lot of them don't even get reimbursed down the line. We're doing it to be there and to also be a place where fans who want to be involved, who want to help, but they can't afford the $100 a ticket or the $1,000 a ticket or what have you to go to these events where it's just they're feeding you and then shoving you out the door. These are social events that bring the fans together, and even if it's only $25 is what they're paying to get in the door, they know that they are making a difference. And a lot of people have said that they want to be involved, they want to raise money, they want to, but they look around and everything is so damn expensive, or the organizations demand more out of you. And that's not what we all do here. We're trying to be a place where the fans can come, can hang, enjoy themselves, talk about the shows, but do good at the same time.
To piggyback off of what you just said, when you said like no one gets reimbursed, like for us, like we've, come together, we all pitch in for a booth. None of us get money back for that booth. Every single item that we sell, we give to the charity that we're supporting. So, we don't make a nickel, and we've probably lost more money than anything, but we're so passionate about helping people that we don't even think twice about it,
Well, I might think twice as I go, okay, how are we going to pay for this?
Yeah.
But, our first year, we went from one night Halloween events that most of the talent came and hung out with the fans. I mean, really hung out. And then we grew into the convention. And the first year, people would say to me, what's our budget for this? I go, we have no money. They go, no, what's the budget? I go, we have no money. Susie remembers, we have no money. That's the budget. We have no money. Figure out how to do it with no money.
I made magic for that to happen with no budget.
That's right. Your department did. And that's the difference between, I believe, a fan-run organization to raise money versus a charity, a large charity out there, because they're not worried. They've got the money. They have major sponsorships. Every year, we're all hitting up companies and going, hey, you got a few bucks? You got a few bucks? And most of them say you're too small. But yet it's the small organizations that will bring the loyalty. Our attendees will be more loyal to those businesses, and they don't all get that right now, but maybe in a few more years.
Victoria, I did want to comment on the fact that you guys are paying for all of this out of pocket, because that is very rough. And I know like you guys are still kind of in that formative, you've been going for a couple of years, but there's still time to build on. We're all volunteers with California Browncoats, we're all volunteers, but I'm gonna tell you that very rarely do we have to pay for things out of our pockets, because we're incorporated. We build a budget into what we sell that kind of keeps the lights on for our organization. We don't get paid, but that way we can pay for a booth, we can pay for merchandise.
Yeah, the first year that we became a legal 501c3, I love saying that. I went to a seminar that the IRS put on, and that they actually said, if you, as a new charity, if you don't come, we're going to really look at you. So I go in, and there are 500 other people in this room. And one of the first things that were said, and these are the people who actually audit from the Utah location. So a lot of the stuff they said was to scare the crap out of us. But they said nonprofit does not mean don't make a profit, because if you don't make a profit, you're not going to be here in a few years. So you have to make a profit, just you're not taking money out of it. But they were they for maybe 20 minutes or more, they really went into taking a portion and putting it aside for the future. And that might be something Lynelle and I can advise you with for the future, but this was not sustainable. Taking it out of your pocket every single time, you will burn out. The people you try to bring into your association will not be as willing, because they don't have the burn. And I met one of the original founders of the Elizabeth Glaser Pediatric AIDS Foundation, who she went to all her friends, all her other mommies, and said, I need your help to put this on and make it happen. And then it grew from there. And even they started with taking money out of their pockets to pay for things way back, what, 30, 40, oh my God, 40 years ago. But they had to treat it like a business. Mm-hmm. That's, I think, a thing for a lot of fan groups, is that if you don't treat it like a business from the beginning, mm-hmm. it will fade away. And that's something that we don't want to happen, because you guys are doing good works. The Browncoats, Susie's, for what she's done for all the other organizations, and now with the Way Station, you want to stay. I mean, personally, I tell everyone, when I am gone, I need this to exist. I need it to carry on.
Yeah, I would hate for you guys to experience that burnout. And I think that James can probably attest to that. No matter how much you love what you're doing, there comes a time that there's burnout. And so if you can work out a way to not be so reliant on all of you pitching in on it yourself, mm-hmm. the more energy you're going to have and be able to carry.
Like Marcia said, it is a business. Okay. All charities are businesses. That's the reality. It's just what you're selling. What you're selling is help and aid to other people in need. Okay. Whether it's other charities or whether, like you said, going out and making sandwiches and feeding the homeless yourself. That is still your business. We do have one paid employee. It's not me.
Like, all of us kind of has a different talent. So whatever they're, what they excel in is, they help, and it's wonderful. But yeah, like you guys said before, though, without a budget, it does start to get difficult. So yeah, I can relate on that. So.
Well, I'm also going to throw out that when we first started, there were 12 of us who were part of the Whedonopolis reporter team. And we started, and we all chipped in, never got any money back. We all chipped in to become a 501c3, to become the corporate, and then to become the charity. And times happened, and people started to fade away. Someone got married to a mundane. There he went, still a friend, but there he went. And somebody else went, and somebody came, and then somebody left. And then, and we ended up that we're now down to 6 people, but only 4 of them are the original founders. The rest are new, and we still need more people. Mm-hmm. And that's why Lynelle and I were saying, with Susie chipping in on it, that you have to, let me rephrase that. We recommend that.
I wanted to.
Yeah, I'm still working on that.
I'll go as from the person who was one who left. The 4 original founding members of the California Browncoats, none of them are a member of the board now. Over time, we all left over the first 3 or 4 years or so of the actual formation of the Browncoats as a charity. And for me, it was, Susie has that mug that she's been drinking out of, which she's drinking out of right now. That mug, I probably paid for half of that mug. Wow. Because back in the day, it was, my bank account was one of the bank accounts of the California Browncoats. And I don't recall ever, making sure that I got paid back. And it's just the way it went. Sometimes you just had to do it. You had to make sure that things got handled. And then you move on from there and make sure the next thing gets handled. And if you had to pay for something, then you paid for something. That wasn't the thing that caused me, that I felt I had to leave. It was, as Marcia mentioned, you get married. I did not get married to a mundane, but I got married, and that changed, my lifestyle a bit. And I had spent 5 years doing Comic-Con and WonderCon at, I would consider, about 180% when I was doing it, because I just went all out. I mean, it was all about making sure that convention happened and happened well and things worked. And that, for 5 years, was just burnout. You can't go forever without help. And we had help. And that's what happened, is I was able to hand it off to someone and say, you guys are in charge now, carry it. And Lynelle and Hanna's group is now the 3rd group running the California Browncoats, because the 2nd group got burnt out after, I think, about 7 years, I think they lasted. There was a few coming and going in between that group. I think you guys might actually be the 4th group. I'm not sure. So the fact that there are these people coming in, is like, that's one of the things, is there will always be someone whose fandom is passionate enough to go that extra mile and become a part of a group. And you just have to make sure that you're around to accept them and to have them become a part of your group. And that's one of the things you also have to be looking out for, is those people who volunteer all the time, show up all the time, are willing to do things, and you don't want them to become
Overworked.
Overworked. You don't want yourself to become overworked, because this is something that we love, and I still love Firefly, and I would like to help out, but I don't have time anymore, and it's not part of my life anymore. So these are the kinds of things I can do. I can basically be like, hey, that's not what you should do. And you need to make sure that there's a team that can handle it, and enough people, and enough, people like Susie said, someone you may need to pay. You may need to pay an accountant.
Mm-hmm.
You may need to pay a web person. Being a charity does not mean that you give all of your money away. It means you use your money to the most effective way possible to benefit others. And that's, I think, one of the things that, I think that's one of the reasons why the California Browncoats have lasted, because they are doing an effective job at what they're designed to do, which is raise money for other charities. And I think that's pretty awesome.
Just to comment on, like, to bring that into focus, Susie has her mug. This is a mug that I designed for California Browncoats currently. Okay, I designed it and I donated my time designing it. I did not get paid for that. But I did not pay, none of us on the board paid to have the mugs made. That came out of our budget. Now, I bought my mug, and that money went part back into the budget and part into the charity. It's actually like my third one, because my kids break them all the time. But that's a way where, like, I'm contributing, I'm giving of myself to do something, but I'm not paying out of my pocket. I got bills to pay, I got kids to feed. I'm donating what I have, which is some very small skill in Photoshop and time. And that's a way to still give, but not make yourselves broke. So that's just a thought. James, you started us down a great question. And I kind of want to have you round that out. What do you think are the 3 most important things that you need to have a successful fan-run charity group?
Oh, geez. First, organization. You need to have a hierarchy, people in charge, someone who can, like, make decisions, even if it's a committee. You need to have the passion for what you're doing, because you're not going to last, as we mentioned, you're not going to last if you don't have the passion. And I think that, I don't know, the third thing, I mean, really, you need to just do it. Get out and do it. You need to get moving, basically. I think that's the third thing. You just go do it.
Find a crew, find a job, keep flying.
That's basically it.
And for us, we always recruit, and there's always fans that are like, how can I get involved? How can I help? Which charities, do you help? And some people say, like, it's for personal reasons why they want to help that specific charity. But we always have people coming up to us, how can we be involved? And I think that that's also what kind of keeps fan groups alive for charity, because there's always more people that want to get involved, and they want to help, and they want to do good. But I think it's also about just being there for fans and people that are in need, and that they need help. There was some person that came up to us, and she was really struggling, and she didn't have a car. She was in a bad situation, and we helped her get out of that situation.
Not only everything that everyone's brought up here is important, but rotation of people. Not just you getting burned out, but your other people will get burned out. Also, like both Fandom Charities and our subsidiary, our projects always want and need people. But you're going to find that some people want to be involved, but then they realize how much involved, and then they back away. And so you need to have a nice rotation of people, because you would also like to be able to enjoy yourself at events and things. But I would also say to look at the changes in what's happening in your fandom. There used to be a time that we would do the Buffy musical. Now, we still close out San Diego Comic-Con, and I'm missing it so much. So many people have written they're missing closing out Comic-Con this year with Buffy. But in real life, it kind of got a little slow, but yet at a con, everybody wants to be there. We learned that Halloween was fantastic, but when we started, we could afford a venue. We got to the point in 2016 that, and that was the last one we did, and Joss came to that one and let us promote him because there was now too much to do. When you're having an event, you want to see what people are interested in, what they're still willing to pay for. Can't Stop the Serenity in some parts of the world are huge. And some places they've faded away because people, some of them have moved on or they're into different things and they still want to do it, but they don't just want to see a movie. They want to do something in addition. So as you're doing your events, both Victoria and the world, look and see the changes in your fandom and what things are now interesting them and bring that into what you do. Because you don't want to do an event where you hardly sell anything because now you have lost money and you're gone. You do want to see if some people are more interested in this than that. Great, throw it in the pile. And that's important.
We always try to do FanX. FanX is always a great convention for us. Normally with FanX, there's always at least 2 supernatural actors that are there. If they come, we do incredible. If they don't come, we notice that we do not do as well. So yeah, definitely good advice on that.
It's interesting that you said that because you're right. We do need talent. It's a symbiotic relationship. We need talent in order to bring in bodies in order to raise money for charity. Talent likewise needs us to either continue their brand or to rebrand or to start a new brand.
When you're doing a group like this, it's never to get close to any of the actors.
No.
Not the reason to do it. And we've had people that have tried to sneak in and join just for that reason. And if you're joining a group like what we're doing, join for the right reasons, join for charity, join to help people. Because if you're joining just to meet an actor or somebody that you really, admire, that's not the right reason to do it, like at all.
I do want to say, like, this is a really hard time for fan-based charities. We're all having to do things because we cannot be in front of our people in order to make money. Like we have an online fundraiser right now. So I do want to ask one more question in light of this, in light of like what we're all having to do right now. Because we all kind of do our fundraising and do our charity work in different ways. So if everybody could tell one way that your group raises money for charity so that if people are watching this in the webs, they can have some inspiration. It's not just about the one thing that our charity does. It's what, these are all different ideas. So starting, who wants to go first? Who wants to tell us one way that your charity raises money or does good work?
So a convention that was completely online. It was called CouchCon. Mm-hmm. Completely on Facebook, but it was just the supernatural fandom coming together, and they had panels that they streamed online. I got Mark to come on and say a few words. So we had a couple cast members come on, but it was completely for charity. So a whole bunch of artists came together and they were selling their wares, and they raised so much. And it was incredible how so many fans came together for a 4-day online event, and it felt just like being at a regular convention. And I think that really shows how this, virus is kind of bringing people together in a new way, because you can still help charity even in the comfort of your home.
Right now, I am making a fanzine that is, fanzines, for people who are not familiar, as anthropology or a fan book that is a collective of art and writings based on a fandom or fandoms. Right now, I'm doing it for Supernatural to say goodbye to the show. And all the proceeds are going, after production, are going to the SPN support network. So to get more sponsorship for volunteers to help people with crisis support. So that is a way that people can help by doing art, selling their artwork. I know that there's Fic Facers, which is a bidding auction that fan artists will sell their work or a commission for random acts. So that's things that people can do.
So currently, as I said, we are acting as as the middleman, if you will. If you go to our website, you'll find links to all of the major support groups out there. We also have a 24-hour helpline. We went through training to do first response. We've been generously gifted some amazing artwork and music and things like that. And so we have an online store that will be starting very shortly.
Now that we have to be online, we're looking at Halloween Con for raising for the charities, because they still need the money desperately. So we're going to have a fun, we're aiming at one day, but it might expand. And I hear Ray screaming right now. He just felt me saying that. But we're going to do it where it's going to be a lot of fun. And then we're going to ask for donations. We're going to figure out how to do that. Again, we don't have a lot of money in the pot. So unlike some of the events that are going on that are free, but then they charge you to talk one-on-one with the talent, we haven't really figured out how we're going to do that. And I throw that out because, hey, anybody got ideas, please contact me.
If any Browncoat booth fans know of our chopstick game, we did a virtual chopstick game. So people were still able to participate in that. And, you know, we had a similar panel type discussion like this. And we had our band perform and just try, even we did try and raise money through that effort, but it was really just a come together moment, since we weren't able to meet at the con and we won't be able to meet at cons the rest of the year.
So we have different people that make different crafts, and that's how we raise a lot of our funds. So like, people will make, buttons or like paintings or anything like that, depending on which charity that we're helping at the time. But that's a big way that people can help if they're, really crafty. I recommend just trying to make items and just donating the proceeds to the charity that they support.
I think that it's just being available. I think that's the basic thing, is just making sure that people know about you. So getting the word out, whatever method that social media became a thing at the end of my tenure there. And it was, you just transition to whatever you need to make sure people are still hearing what you need and helping them get what they need. So it's always making sure that the avenues of communication are always open, making sure people know about you, because they can't donate and help if they don't know you're there.
I want to thank everybody for coming and being a part of this. I want to leave the audience with one thing, and that is if you see a group here, or if you know of a charity group, we always want volunteers. We always need volunteers. If you want to be a part of it, please do not ever hesitate. If you want a tiny job, we will give you a tiny job. One of these groups will give you a tiny job. If you want a huge job, there are huge jobs available, but we have to always have new people. We always have to have new volunteers. If you want to be a part of a group out there, web people watching this, don't hesitate, or start your own one. If you reach out to one of the wonderful people on this panel, I'm sure we would all love to give you advice or help you or encourage that to happen in whatever way we can. So please, if you are a fan, reach out, be a part of something bigger than yourself.